We the people.
We the people.
We the people.
We the people.
We the people dare.
Dare to create.
Dare to create.
Dare to create.
Dare to create a more perfect.
A more perfect.
A more perfect New Jersey.
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 Putting American citizens into concentration camps on the basis of race is unforgivable.
Unanimous opinion of the Supreme Court said separate educational facilities are inherently unequal.
And that is the right of Richard and Mildred Loving to go to sleep at night, knowing that the sheriff will not be knocking on their door in the privacy of their bedroom.
A Fortis declared that neither students or teachers shed their constitutional rights to freedom of speech or expression at the schoolhouse gate.
In a landmark ruling, the Supreme Court today legalized abortion.
It's our position that everybody in the village of Skokie and everywhere else in the country has First Amendment rights.
I wanted to tell you what marriage meant to me, why we want it and why we need it.
Not even the government can defeat a community so full of life, color, diversity, and most importantly, love.
How do we speak up? Vote! How do we speak up? Vote!
And the only way to protect anyone is to protect everyone.
This bill is unconstitutional and violates the fundamental constitutional rights of women in this country.
How many more children are we willing to subject to a lifetime of pain? It is not temporary, it is forever!
Let today be the last day that you ever doubt Black trans power.
Put your fist in the air for George!
One nation! One nation! We rise! We rise! I will never stop talking about my abortion!
If you ask, will we fight?
ACLU!
Yes, we will fight!
My name is Amol Sinha, and I'm the Executive Director of the ACLU of New Jersey. I hope you and your loved ones are well during these times, and I look forward to when we can be together and build community in person, hopefully in the near future. For the past 4 years, it's been my great privilege to lead this incredible organization of dedicated advocates daring to create a more perfect New Jersey. We've experienced remarkable growth, and through our integrated strategies of litigation, policy advocacy, and strategic communications, we have responded to the civil rights crises that arose, and we've built power, and we've proactively taken on campaigns that have made New Jersey a more just state. The past year and a half have been incredibly challenging for all of us, both personally and professionally. At the ACLU, as priorities shifted, and we needed to respond to the disparities exacerbated by the pandemic, we still kept up the fight to protect and expand civil rights and liberties in our state. I want to share with you a bit of what we were up to. In our litigation, our impactful work was led by impacted people. I think of our client who uses the pseudonym Sonia Doe. She's a transgender woman who is incarcerated in a men's prison where she faced extreme harassment, discrimination, and outright violence. She led the way to a settlement that created systemic change to ensure that the state prison system recognizes and respects the gender identity of all people who are incarcerated. Our team fought for the legal wins, and we were the conduits for change. But it was Sonia who bravely stepped forward to make sure others didn't have to endure what she did. In addition to our work representing individuals in lawsuits, the ACLU of New Jersey has been incredibly active in federal and state courts, filing briefs as friends of the court. Indeed, in 2020, we appeared more times before the New Jersey Supreme Court than any year prior, about a third of the Supreme Court's docket. And in 2021, we're on track to match that record. It's no surprise that we're before our high court more often than any other non-governmental litigant, and we're proud to bring with us the voices and experiences of those communities that are directly impacted. During this time, we also made significant strides in policy in New Jersey. For years, we've known that Black New Jerseyans were arrested for marijuana possession at a rate 4 times that of their white counterparts. Even though we all voted to legalize cannabis in our state last year, we have been committed to this campaign for the long haul, as our work toward legalization started nearly a decade ago. Not only did we win the ballot question by a huge margin, we also passed legislation that makes New Jersey a leader in legalizing with racial justice in mind. But we know that this is just the beginning. As with all our work, we see it through. Now we're advocating for regulation and implementation that keeps racial justice at the forefront. But we don't always have the luxury of time. At the beginning of the pandemic, as we realized the racial justice impact it would have, we quickly decided that we needed to help the most vulnerable, including those who were incarcerated in our prisons and jails. Prisons weren't designed with social distancing in mind. They were designed to warehouse people. New Jersey prisons had the worst rate of COVID infections in the country, and we knew that the only way to curb COVID in prison was to reduce the number of people incarcerated. Because of our integrated advocacy, our approach of using litigation, policy advocacy, organizing, and communications to achieve ambitious goals, and with our partners ranging from the Office of the Public Defender to directly impacted people who had lost incarcerated loved ones to COVID, we achieved court victories, executive actions, and legislation that ultimately led to the release of well over 4,000 people from jails and prisons in New Jersey. We effectively reduced the prison population by over 20%. In a matter of months, we were able to make gains against 2 ongoing public health crises, the pandemic and mass incarceration. Yes, we've had a very impactful several months, and we know that there's a lot more to do. Regardless of who's in power at the state or federal levels, or who's in the White House, the work of defending and expanding rights and liberties is never done. That's why we're focusing on several priorities in the coming months, including immigrants' rights, ensuring access to reproductive health through an intersectional lens, police reform and accountability, expanding voting rights and civic engagement, and prosecutor accountability. This year, every state legislative seat in New Jersey and the governor is up for election. When we vote this fall, we have the opportunity to vote with these values and principles in mind. We must vote like our rights depend on it. Now, the theme of today's event is We the People, daring to create a more perfect New Jersey. Inherent in that is the idea that we are perpetually a work in progress. Every day presents new contexts in which our rights and liberties are challenged, new ways to push for racial justice and equity, and new opportunities to improve our state and our country. Our thirst for justice won't ever be quenched, but we will continue trying. While I've been the executive director of this organization for over 4 years now, my ACLU career started many years ago when I was an intern at ACLU National. I recall when I was applying for that internship and during a phone interview, the person I was speaking with said to me that the ACLU only has one client, and that's the Constitution of the United States. I love that concept, that I would be working for something beyond myself, greater than any one person or any one moment. I've said it multiple times myself. However, in recent years, that idea hasn't sat well with me. Of course, we advocate for the ideals we think the Constitution represents. And yes, we use it as a tool to get the results we need to see. But more often than not, the actual people and communities we work with, like Sonia Doe, are those for whom the promises of the Constitution have gone unfulfilled. It's certainly true that our work is bigger than any one moment, any one president, any one controversy, and that the ideals of the Constitution guide us. But just like we might say to any other institution that you must do better, you must be more inclusive, you must address your biases against the people you serve, Our work is to demand that the Constitution of the United States do better, be more inclusive, and yes, be more perfect. We don't do this work alone. It's empowered by this community, by the many communities across the state that we partner with, and the work is supported by each of you. Thank you for sticking with us through all of it. A strong ACLU makes for a stronger state and a stronger country. Thank you for all you do to make our work possible and to help make sure that we the people includes all of us.
Hi, my name's Piper Parabo, and as a proud New Jersey, I'm thrilled to be with you today celebrating the accomplishments of the ACLU of New Jersey. I'm from Ocean County, but the ACLU does work all across the state, and I'd like to take a minute to talk to you about an issue that's very important to me: access to reproductive health care. As you probably know, Roe v. Wade is under attack. The U.S. Supreme Court is going to consider Mississippi's 15-week abortion ban next year, and they could overturn Roe. Here in New Jersey, most voters are concerned about Roe being overturned or weakened, but we have an opportunity right now to protect our rights to abortion care and expand access for all New Jerseyans. We can do this by passing the Reproductive Freedom Act. Passing the RFA is so important because regardless of what happens at the U.S. Supreme Court, for far too many New Jerseyans, reproductive health care is out of reach. Lack of providers, long drives, unaffordable costs. These are common barriers in our state that end up restricting access to abortion and other essential care, and these barriers disproportionately harm patients already impacted by systematic inequalities. The Reproductive Freedom Act would equitably expand access to birth control, abortion, and other reproductive health care, particularly for communities of color, low-income, immigrant, and LGBTQ communities. We're only as strong as our most vulnerable. We have to do better, New Jersey. It's time to step up and ensure that everyone in our state can access the care they need. I encourage you to check out the Thrive New Jersey's coalition website to learn more, and call your state leaders and tell them to pass this bill. Thank you. And thank you for supporting reproductive rights and for supporting the ACLU of New Jersey. I'll see you down the shore.
Hey, it's Senator Cory Booker. I am so grateful for the ACLU, and really the fact that New Jersey has an ACLU affiliate has been a game changer. The ACLU has been at the center of so many struggles in our state to do what Martin Luther King challenged us to do, to bend the arc of the moral universe more towards justice. I partnered with the ACLU from the time I was mayor, helping to make our police department more accountable and transparent and more just, and have had some extraordinary opportunities to work with the ACLU as a United States Senator for the last 8 years on issues spanning from criminal justice reform, prison reform, all the way to issues like marijuana justice, expunging records, and more. I am grateful for you because we know the change doesn't just happen. It must be worked for and sacrificed for and struggled for, and the ideals inherent in our Constitution, the ideals that we pledge allegiance to when we say with liberty and justice for all, that is gonna take work. We have to do the work. The ACLU is our champion. It is continuing the work. And I know there's a promise for better days ahead. Thank you, everybody.
Hey there, I'm Tom Morello. I've spent my life fighting for justice as an activist and as a musician, both solo and with Rage Against the Machine. One of the most powerful moments I've had as an activist was in an Asbury Park church basement with the ACLU and New Jersey Prison Justice Watch. I was the audience. The stage was folding tables. 6 New Jersey Prison Justice Watch activists relived the years of torture they survived in solitary confinement. They took on one of the toughest fights I've ever seen, and they won. They forced the powerful to look at thousands of people isolated in rooms the size of a freight elevator, to see eye to eye with people in a system designed to keep them out of sight. And what's extraordinary, they convinced them to do something. that the sky wouldn't fall if they treated people in prison as human. It led to the most far-reaching solitary restrictions in the U.S., the first from the hands of the people taking the wheel of democracy. In the pandemic, these organizations brought together families of people in prison who died of COVID and people with loved ones inside, and they spoke truth to power to pass an unprecedented law to release people earlier. Thousands came home the first day it went into effect. It's still the only law of its kind. This is what the ACLU of New Jersey and New Jersey Prison Justice Watch get done. We're in this fight to be free from persecution, to stamp out entrenched, fatal racial injustice, and for the right to make our own reproductive decisions about our own bodies. No work is more important. I'm proud to do what I can with the ACLU and the New Jersey Prison Justice Watch. It can be hard and discouraging. I wrote this song to remind us to keep going. Keep going. If you hear the dogs, keep going. See the torches in the woods, keep going. They're shouting after you, keep going. You want a taste of freedom, keep going. It's time for another chapter. Heretics have found the rapture. I was born for this minute. I was outside, but now I'm in it. So if you hear the dogs, keep going. See the torches in the woods, keep going. They're shouting after you, keep going. You want a taste of freedom, keep going. 86 miles there, 86 miles back. Stole a brand new car, can't afford the gas. Drove to the crossroads right around midnight. A pimp slapped the devil, he couldn't get my riffs right. So if you hear the dogs, keep going. See the torches in the woods, keep going. They're shouting after you, keep going. You want a taste of freedom, keep going. Rise like coyotes, cold black and thunder. The fleet is left, child, while the admiral slumbered. Test the chains, gnaw the screws. You are many, they are few. You are many, they are few. So if you hear the dogs, keep going. See the torches in the woods, keep going. They're shouting after you, keep going. You want a taste of freedom, you want a taste of freedom, you want a taste of freedom, you want a taste of freedom. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Hey yeah, 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 hey yeah.
Hi all, my name is Tess Borden, and I'm a staff attorney at the ACLU of New Jersey. I met the fierce organizers of New Jersey Prison Justice Watch back in 2017 on just my third day at the ACLU of New Jersey. At that time, they were years into an effort to rein in the abuse of solitary confinement in our jails and prisons, and the goal was ambitious. No state had achieved the kind of bill we were seeking. But they were determined, they were organized, and they were brilliant. And they were the true experts, as people who had experienced solitary confinement firsthand. They bravely told their stories of pain, of trauma, courage and strength, stories of survivorship. Nafisa, Justice, Lydia, Ron, Mark, Anton, so many others over the years since. I've heard them tell their stories at events that range from a New York City stage to a rally on the street to a microphone at the State House. And each time I've been moved to tears. I haven't been the only one. I remember one senator thanking a PJW leader for their testimony, saying he had teared up listening too. The power of PJW's leadership doesn't just move us to tears, it moved New Jersey to action in 2019. After members testified in committees of both the Senate and the Assembly, our legislature passed and Governor Murphy signed into law the Isolated Confinement Restriction Act. That law prohibits prisons and jails from placing anyone in isolation for more than 20 consecutive days or 30 days in a 60-day period. It also prohibits the use of isolation on vulnerable populations, and it requires mental health evaluations before and during placement in isolation. In 2019, this was the most progressive solitary reform legislation in the whole country. New Jersey led the way, and we have the members of PJW to thank. Less than a year later, the pandemic hit. At the ACLU, we knew immediately that our incarcerated community members would face the greatest risk, living in circumstances where it was literally impossible to socially distance. As New Jersey prisons became the most deadly in the country, we knew the best way to stop the spread was to get people out, and quick. There was no time to waste. Again, our partners at NJPJW were instrumental in our advocacy, helping us collect stories and tell stories of people fearing for their lives and families experiencing tragic loss. And again, the true experts testified. The hearings and the broader conversation about the Public Health Emergency Credits Bill were centered around the experiences of those directly impacted. Governor Murphy signed the bill last fall, resulting in the release of more than 4,000 people from New Jersey state prisons. And like the solitary confinement bill, this was groundbreaking legislation. No other state in the country had passed a law like this. It was the human stories that got us here again. The courage of people to step forward and share, and the dedication and intense, brilliant organizing of a coalition to create space for that to be possible. These incredible victories have only been possible through the ACLU's partnership with PJW. It has been my great honor to stand beside my PJW friends and colleagues and to learn from them in this work. To the whole coalition, thank you. Thank you for all you do to make New Jersey a better, more equitable and just place. And to the survivors especially, I am in awe of you. Thank you for your leadership and courage. Now, it is with enormous gratitude and pride that I present New Jersey Prison Justice Watch with the ACLU of New Jersey's Torchbearer Award.
New Jersey Prison Justice Watch is a coalition made up of advocates, individuals who are directly impacted by incarceration, organizers, faith-based organizations, and volunteers, people from the community, people who believe in the fight for humanity and in justice. So the goal is humanity, human dignity. You cannot warehouse bodies, abuse those bodies, neglect those bodies, and even, and many times, murder those bodies. That cannot be. And so as long as those things are happening, we, the members of New Jersey Prison Justice Watch, we're gonna be on it. And we're looking at what's happening in our jails and in our prisons. And until the day that prisons and jails are abolished and we have a new system to truthfully and honestly repair and restore our communities and the people who suffer from traumas and who end up being those incarcerated persons, until we get to that point, our duty is to monitor what's going on and to bring it to the face of the public through either direct action or public education and advocacy and legislation. New Jersey Prison Justice Watch is ready to embark in a collaborative effort with the state of New Jersey, starting with our governor, so that we can talk, and not only talk about, but be able to strategize around the things that we need to do to be able to ensure that individuals who are incarcerated, who have been directly impacted, receive the justice that they should receive. They should be treated with dignity, and they should have resources that's going to help them be productive when they return home to society. The majority of individuals who are incarcerated come home. But when we talk about home, it is a term that is loose. And the reason why is because not everyone who's released has a home to come to. There's many conversations to be had, but starting with how can we help this state be more progressive and, first and foremost, ending this culture of abuse. New Jersey Prison Justice Watch is a beacon of hope for individuals who are directly impacted, and this also means family members. And the reason why we are that is because we believe in people, and all people are not bad. And being someone who's formerly incarcerated and knowing the worst that I've done, how could any of us not want to fight for the good for others? We are the lovers of justice. And so we're watching out for any injustice. And anyone who wants to be involved with us and our work in the fight for freedom, justice, and liberation for all, then please contact us at contact@njpjw.org. Receiving the Torchbearer Award, it shows me that NJPJW is on the right track. I believe that in order to bear a torch, you have to have strength. And I cannot hold the award, and I cannot hold the torch by myself. I have to thank my coalition core members, first and foremost, because they too are directly impacted people. And they are impacting our communities in ways that it's shaking things. You can feel it. And that feeling is power. And what we're building is power. And it's not about power to oppress or power to stick it to the man. It is taking back the power that is rightfully ours as people. And all people deserve to be treated with dignity and humanity. To receive this award, I receive it with humility and pride. And I say, thank you. I can only hope that we can continue to make you proud. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chad.
And I'm Ian, and we're in the band A Great Big World.
We are so glad to be with you today, celebrating and supporting the ACLU of New Jersey.
Yeah, I'm actually from Fair Lawn, New Jersey. So I'm so proud that my home state has such a strong ACLU affiliate to protect its residents, especially those who are most marginalized.
And on a personal note, I have known Amol since the first week of college. We met in cafeteria, and he's one of my best friends and one of the humans I look up to the most. So ACLU of New Jersey is in really good hands.
We're gonna play a song that we just released called Glowing. It's about finding light in the darkest places, and we hope you enjoy it. Here we go.
Bring on the storm, let it rain, let it snow. Got a little bit of love, oh, to keep us dry. I'll keep you warm. Let the winter winds blow. Got a little bit of love, oh, to keep us alive. Ooh, 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 Don't lose your faith, we're not far from the shore. Got a little bit of love, oh, to light up our way back home. So bring on the waves, let them crash, let them roar. Got a little bit of love, oh, you won't be alone. We'll be shining when the lights go dark. Just a little spark keeps the fire glowing. We'll be ready when the waves get rough. Just a little love's enough to keep us going. Just a little love's enough to keep us going. Just a little love's enough to keep us going. Just a little love's enough to keep us going.
Hi again, everyone. As you've seen from today's event, over the past 18 months, our staff and board have been working remotely from across the state and across the country. And they've been working tirelessly to protect and expand civil rights in New Jersey. That work is only possible because of our supporters at every level. I just wanted to take a moment to thank in particular the people and organizations who sponsored this event, including Lowenstein Sandler, Chiesa, Shahinian, and Giantomasi, John O'Connor, and Patterson, Belknap, Webb, and Tyler, and to everyone who supported us to make this event possible. Your financial support and your moral support means so much to all of us at the ACLU of New Jersey. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Steve Way from the Hulu show Rami. On top of being an actor and a comedian, I'm also a disability rights advocate. For over the last 20 years, I've promoted disability awareness, not just so people know what it's like to have a disability, but so they're aware of the problems that we face on a daily basis. Everywhere we go, we encounter access barriers. We can't get married without running the risk of losing the benefits that we need just to survive. And we face rampant discrimination in areas such as housing and employment. But thanks to the tireless efforts of New Jersey's ACLU, I know that I and others like me are not alone in this fight. Their mission of making sure that no one's civil liberties are violated, regardless of their abilities, is something that I will fight for as long as I can. Solidarity forever. Thank you.
My name is Jean Lo Cicero, and I'm the legal director of the ACLU of New Jersey. It's my honor to introduce Frank Corrado. Frank is a member of the ACLU of New Jersey's Board of Trustees and a dear friend to the organization and to me. He's a mentor and a longstanding volunteer, and he's been a valiant co-conspirator in the fight to protect and expand constitutional rights of all New Jerseyans. Frank has contributed his time, energy, and talents to the ACLU of New Jersey for more than 30 years, and his impact on our organization cannot be exaggerated. The ACLU's influence in the Garden State has grown because of Frank, and that's why I'm so pleased that we're recognizing him as part of this event. Frank was a journalist and editor for a decade before he became an attorney, and unsurprisingly, he was drawn to First Amendment legal issues. His first experiences as a volunteer attorney defending free speech in Philadelphia inspired him to do more. And in 1989, after moving back to Cape May County, he became a volunteer for the ACLU of New Jersey. After several years as a volunteer attorney, Frank joined the board of directors while continuing to take cases. Along the way, Frank has made time to be a generous colleague and mentor to so many, sharing his intellect, insights, and professionalism, as well as his top-notch writing and editing skills. He's even served as our unofficial ethics advisor. Frank has appeared alongside the ACLU of New Jersey in courts throughout the state, from Cape May to Hudson County and so many places in between, including the New Jersey Supreme Court several times. He's worked to protect and defend free speech, religious freedom, and the rights of students and immigrants. He's challenged gender discrimination and unconstitutional police conduct. One of the many things I admire about Frank is his principled approach. He's not intimidated by difficult cases or deterred from representing clients who have been marginalized or are politically disfavored, or advocating for people whose views are different from his. He's worked on behalf of voting rights activists, religious minorities and non-believers, young people, and farm workers. And he's fought for the rights of anti-abortion protesters and people convicted of sex offenses, as he believes that everybody, regardless of their ideology or criminal history, deserves dignity. And this commitment extends beyond his ACLU work. He currently represents women who survived horrific abuse at the hands of prison guards. And he celebrated a victory with Cultural Heritage Partners in 2019, after challenging New Jersey's racist decision to withdraw its recognition of the Nanticoke Lenni Lenape tribal nation. For his entire legal career, Frank has been committed to seeking justice and expanding rights for everyone. The ACLU of New Jersey, and frankly the entire state of New Jersey, has been fortunate to have him among our ranks. It's my sincere honor to present Frank Corrado with the Frank Askin Bill of Rights Award.
I was a newspaper man before I became a lawyer. As a matter of fact, I went to law school thinking that I would return to the newspaper and function as a lawyer in the newsroom. But I got enamored of law during law school. When I finished law school, instead of going back to the newspaper, I went and practiced First Amendment law at a couple of law firms in Philadelphia. Once I got involved with civil rights law, the ACLU was a sort of a natural transition. When I started at the ACLU, it was predominantly a litigation organization, but over the years, it became far more of a policy-driven and legislative-driven organization than it was before. I think that the First Amendment and the guarantee of freedom of speech is the most important guarantee in the Constitution. There are so many permutations and so many ways in which freedom of speech is implicated in everyday life. When you vote, if you decide you want to protest something. One of the most interesting cases I ever did for the ACLU of New Jersey was I represented a group of anti-abortion protesters who protested in front of the home of a doctor who performed abortions. I mean, there's a real conflict of civil rights there, right? Freedom of speech, the ability to stand on a public sidewalk and protest against a doctor who is performing the constitutionally protected process of an abortion. To engage in a difficult issue like that is so intellectually challenging, so intellectually satisfying, so much what I really wanted to do and what I really thought about what I could accomplish when I decided to practice law rather than journalism. That's the kind of thing that's kept me engaged for so many years and why I keep doing it. the New Jersey affiliate of the ACLU is the leading civil rights organization in New Jersey. So it's quite exciting to be a part of that, and always has been. You know, when I'm not doing civil rights work, I'm doing real estate transactions or business litigation. I don't think I could be a lawyer if that was all I did. You know, if I didn't have this civil rights and First Amendment practice that I've developed with the assistance of the ACLU and with the, you know, sort of at the beneficence of the ACLU, I don't know that I'd still be a lawyer. I want to thank everybody for being here, and I want to say how honored and grateful I am to receive the award. It's humbling, really. I mean, I think of the ACLU and my work for the ACLU as sort of the pinnacle of my career, and to receive an award like this is extremely gratifying. I'm almost without words to accurately or adequately explain it. One of the things that makes it so special is that it's named after Frank Askin, who was a colleague of mine on the board for many years, a hero, a civil rights hero of mine, a mentor of sorts, and a man with whom I did a number of cases for the ACLU. You know, I'm told that I'm the attorney who has partnered, I think is the word that is used in the pamphlet, partnered with the ACLU of New Jersey the most. I'm the cooperating counsel who has partnered the most with the ACLU of New Jersey. And the key word in that sentence is partnered, because it really has been a partnership for me. And I want to thank all of the people at the ACLU, the staff members, the board members, my friends on the board, and in particular, the executive directors I've worked for, Deborah Jacobs, Udi Ofer, and now Amol Sinha, and the legal directors that I've worked with, Lenore Lapidus and Ed Barokas, who's become a special friend of mine, and now Gene Lucicero, who succeeded Ed. All first-rate, fabulous people. I couldn't ask for anything more. I mean, if I named everyone that I'm grateful to, I'd be here all night, and I can't do that. So I want to just repeat that I am very, very grateful to have been recognized in this way. I want to thank everyone. I couldn't have done it who I've been involved with at the ACLU. I just couldn't have done it without the partnership that you extended to me. And I hope that the ACLU of New Jersey continues for many years doing the fabulous work that it's doing now. So thank you all.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to make this offering benefit of the ACLU under the direction, this instance, of Andrea Long. I'm going to do a piece called Trying Times, based on music by the same title given to us by the great Roberta Flack many years ago when we were facing some trying times back in the early 70s. Commissioned by jazz singer and jazz art architect Zakia Zyma, and a response, and a very calling response to another epic poem marking these times called How Will We Emerge by the great Nubian butterfly Yvette Modestine. This is my response to her How Will We Emerge, based on the music of trying times. Boom, ba-doom, boom. Boom, ba-doom, boom, ba-boom, ba-boom, boom, ba-boom, ba-boom, boom, ba-boom, ba-boom, boom, ba-boom, ba-doom, boom, ba-boom, ba-boom, boom, ba-boom, ba-boom, boom, ba-boom, ba-boom, boom, ba-boom, ba-boom, boom, 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 boom. Trying times. Trying times. Yes, indeed, these are some trying times. Crying times. Dying times, big old white lion times, sad times, mad times, bad times, germ spreading, hate spreading, sick times, times pawning black and brown essential workers on the lung puncturing altar of sacrifice that is COVID-19. Dying times, dying times. crying times, trying times. Yes, indeed, these are some boom, 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 trying times, torching times, scorching times, wildfire screaming times, despairing times, glaringly unjust times, dramatic times, traumatic times, toxic, fuming, pluming, choking times. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. George Floyd, Javier Ambler, Eric Garner, Elijah McClain. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Dying times. Crying times. White lion times. Global warming, wildfires, screaming times. Cruel times. ICE agents butchering family to pieces times. Ice cold, cruel times. Times of cell block torture, sterilizing and rape. Times of homemade terror caught on cell phone videotape. Crying times, lying times, dying times, trying times. Boom, ba doom, boom, boom, ba doom, boom, boom, ba doom, boom. Crying times, dying times. Yes, these indeed are some trying times, stifling times, trifling times, traumatic and traumatic, Trump trampling, tyrant ranting, tyrannical times, white lion times, wildfires screaming times, sad times, mad times, bad times, alienating, divisive, Afro-homophobic, Islamophobic, Afrophobic, hateful, hurtful, divisive times, crying times, dying times, white lion times. Boom, ba doom, boom, boom, ba doom, boom, boom, ba doom, boom. These indeed are some trying times. Boom, 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 ba doom, boom, boom, ba doom, boom. But these are also bold times, gold times, binding times, bonding times, unforgettable building times, outrageous times, courageous times, monuments to white supremacy, colonialism, and slavery toppling face first times, times of marching, young people marching against hate, against homelessness, against joblessness, against gentrifying, against ethnic cleansing, against evictions, against police brutality, COVID and police killing, dangerous times. Boom, ba doom, boom. Black young, brown young, white young, marching loud, marching proud, marching together, seizing these times. Boom, ba doom, boom. Boom, ba doom, boom. Trying times, reeling times, choking times. Also, these are some hope cradling times. Boom, ba doom, boom. Hope cradling, sage smoking, healing times. Boom, ba doom, boom. Boom, ba doom, boom. Resistance times, resilience times, grinding times, binding times, mobilizing, organizing, coalition building, unifying times. Boom, ba doom, boom. Boom, ba doom, boom. Defiant times, bold times, gold times, soul times, hateful, hurting, besieged, disease, lying, dying, trying times. Boom, ba doom, boom. Boom, ba doom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom, ba doom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Ba doom, ba doom, boom. Boom, boom, ba doom, boom. These indeed are some boom, ba doom, boom. Trying times, trying times, trying times.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Sarah Fajardo, and I'm the Policy Director of the ACLU of New Jersey. I'd like to talk to you for a moment about one of our priority issues, immigrants' rights. More than 1 in 5 New Jerseyans are immigrants, our family members, friends, neighbors, and colleagues. Immigrants are a vital part of our New Jersey community, but our policies and laws don't always reflect that. Here at the ACLU of New Jersey, we've been working hard to make New Jersey a more fair and welcoming state and place for our immigrant communities. The increase of immigration detention by ICE during the Trump administration was felt right here in New Jersey. With our partners at the Alliance for Immigrant Justice, we advocated and organized to ensure that the state provides free legal representation for immigrants facing deportation, to improve conditions in immigration detention facilities, and ultimately to support the passage of a law that will phase out immigration detention contracts. Just a few weeks ago, Governor Murphy signed a bill that will prevent detention contracts from being renewed in the future. We know this is a big victory for New Jersey, and we do know that this is a step forward with much more to come. Increased enforcement by immigration officials also put a spotlight on how police collaborate with ICE. In 2018, New Jersey Attorney General Grewal issued a directive which limited the ways local law enforcement could interact with federal immigration officials. We applauded this directive, and we were proud to help defend it when it came under attack. Fortunately, the Third Circuit Court of Appeals ruled last month that the directive is constitutional, another victory for immigrants' rights. But creating a welcoming community goes beyond protecting our neighbors from ICE. In the midst of all the chaos wrought by the Trump administration's draconian immigration policies, along with our partners, we were hard at work expanding access to driver's licenses for immigrants and other people in need of access, a hugely important part of daily life in the Garden State. After years of organizing and advocacy, in 2019, the governor signed legislation making New Jersey the 14th state to provide driver's licenses to all qualified New Jerseyans, regardless of immigration status. And then, of course, the pandemic arrived. Immigrant communities were among the hardest hit. Congress provided financial relief to most Americans, but excluded many immigrants, including nearly 500,000 New Jerseyans. We're still pushing for the state to provide immigrants with financial relief. Immigrants continue to work on the front lines to keep the state running through these unprecedented times, and New Jersey must step up and not leave anybody behind. Just because Trump is out of office doesn't mean that immigration enforcement is no longer a concern. There's so much more that we can do to protect immigrant community members here in our state. I'd like to thank you, our supporters, for making this work possible and for supporting our vision of a just, fair, and welcoming New Jersey. Enjoy the rest of tonight's celebration and take care.
Hi, I'm Mark Beebe, President of the Board of Trustees of the ACLU of New Jersey. Thank you so much for joining us to celebrate the ACLU of New Jersey's accomplishments and our remarkable honorees, New Jersey Prison Justice Watch and Frank Corrado. I hope you enjoyed the event. I also hope our event has demonstrated how we, the people, can create a more perfect New Jersey. But there's a lot of work still to be done. Our civil rights and liberties require a strong defense, and we also must push our democracy further to create greater freedoms and opportunities for all. We cannot do this work without you. I hope you will continue to support the ACLU of New Jersey, both through taking action and maintaining your membership. Financial contributions are critical, but so are phone calls to legislators, attendance at rallies, and talking with your neighbors, friends, and colleagues about the issues we've discussed here today. Our members are our partners in this important work, so thank you for all you have done and all you would do in the future to support the ACLU of New Jersey.
Democracy by Langston Hughes.
Democracy will not come
today, this year, nor ever
through compromise and fear.
I have as much right as the other fellow has to stand
on my 2 feet and own the land.
I tire so of hearing people say,
let things take their course.
Tomorrow is another day.
I do not need my freedom
when I am dead.
I cannot live on tomorrow's bread.
Freedom is a strong seed
planted in a great need. I live here too.
I want freedom.
Just as you.